Hey, it's Tree and I'm back for another video. Today is day 13 out of 100 days of the Wakefield webcomic that I've been working on very slowly. This entire day is just the sketching process of page 9. And this took place during several days, not all at once. So it's kind of like day 13 through 15, but I'm just going to call it day 13 for simplicity's sake. And I guess I just wanted to talk about how being an author and an artist and being a comic artist are like... Let me rephrase that. If you're a comic artist, you have to be usually just the artist. But here lately, I'm trying to branch into being both the comic artist and the comic writer, and those are two very different skills. And I don't think a lot of people realize that, because a large mistake in comic book creation that I see quite often is just the fact that people aren't willing to write ahead, and they'll only write maybe an issue before starting to draw. But with writing, it's just a completely different skill, and I don't think people realize that is the thing. Because when you're writing a book, there's so often that I have to go back and change things. So, for example, when I've been working on my Project Ophelia novel for the past 2 years almost, the start of the story and the middle of the story has changed around so frequently. And if you're going to be both the artist and the writer, the thing is that, like, if you start illustrating before you finish the story, you'll have to go back and redo those pages, and that just takes away time from creating your comic, which is a very difficult thing to realize. In fact, one of my earliest stories that I wrote, I illustrated 2 comic pages for it, but the story wasn't even done yet. And it's like, I kept adding new characters to the story when new chapters would come along, but I feel like that just weighs things down in a way, because you don't fully realize what those characters are like and what their full arc is going to be. And I didn't really realize that when I was like 15. Another thing that like comes with being an artist is you get so excited to illustrate the scene you're writing, and you don't realize there's flaws in the stuff that comes before the scene you're excited to illustrate. So again, I'm gonna come back to stuff that I've been working on. I've been slowly writing a comic book script for basically a Pokemon fan comic in a way. Like, it's Pokemon, but I'm creating my own Pokemon and my own characters. So I was really excited to write the beginning of the story, because I could picture exactly how I wanted it in my head. But the thing is that there's stuff that comes after that, and I'm kind of struggling writing that because I don't fully realize where I'm going. And a big reason for that is that I kind of take a pantser approach. This is how novel communities talk about it, but basically a pantser is where instead of plotting, you write on the seat of your pants and write from your head. And that's basically where I was with Project Ophelia for the longest time. Recircling back to that, I didn't really know what I was doing and what I expected for the story, so I was just kind of making things up as I went along. And now, with that story, I'm at a point where I have an idea of what the middle is and what the ending is, but I have to get there, and I have like some of the chapters planned out, and it's just hard to bridge that gap when my comic script, the Pokemon one, I just don't know where it's gonna go, and I know I'm probably gonna have to rewrite a lot of it before I can even get around to illustrating it. But I'm really excited to illustrate the stuff that I do have, and that's the problem I'm running into, basically. And if I were to start illustrating it, by the time I write the rest of it, the style's gonna be so very different. It's gonna be kind of weird. I know over the course of like Wakefield, I've already had large improvements in my art. But for this new project, I feel like that'd be too big of a gap because I'm not happy with where, like, Volume 1, Chapter 3 is at. And I feel like it's gonna be a while before I'm happy with how that chapter came out. So with, like, art, you can basically create, and it's out there in the world right away. But with novel writing and comic writing, there's so much behind it. And there's just so much effort and energy that goes into it that I never realized was there before. And I didn't start really writing until 2019 in any fashion. So imagine what it's going to be like for me in years from now. I mean, I used to write novels and stuff back in 2010 and earlier. But yeah, those stories I never even finished. So I guess this is a long chat about how there's so much with writing that I didn't know that there was before, and I don't think other people do either. And I've said that like 2 other times before, but I feel like it's true. So here's another example. I have another project, and it's called Project Evelyn. And basically it's a story that I wrote based upon a dream I had. And I thought it'd be a very interesting story. And I know how the story's gonna go, but I don't know how to start it. And so I had to bridge the gap between how the story begins and how the story ends. And that's very hard to do. And I just feel like my next drafts of these projects, I'm going to have to rewrite a lot because I want the characters to have certain arcs. And they wouldn't be there if I didn't rewrite it. So I guess just don't be afraid to rewrite your comic scripts because they're going to be really different by the time you're done. I also feel like when it comes to artists and comic writing, I just kind of dipped my feet into that with daily comics. Because with daily comics, you have the idea in mind. All you have to do is illustrate it, and it's a lot faster of a process than writing a script and then translating it into art. I guess what I'm trying to say is that these are mistakes that I've been making with writing and comic making, and I just don't think you should make the same mistakes as I did. Because honestly, the more mistakes you make, the longer you're gonna spend making your comic projects. Let's put it that way. And with artists, there's this thing of like, I want to get on to my next project, and it's hard to get onto your next project if you're not even finished with your first one. You've got to finish projects before you do your next one. Otherwise, it's just going to sit there for years, and that doesn't feel good. And that's kind of how I felt about Wakefield for a while, because I just kind of let it sit there for a long time, and I just want to finish Volume 1. Sunny hasn't even finished Volume 2. And I'm already working on, like, a 3rd volume, I guess you can consider it. I'm writing it, and it's taking a while, because I don't realize what I want to put into that arc. Yeah, that's another struggle. Like, how do I want this character to evolve through the course of the story? And how do I want our existing characters to evolve through the story? Because this story is kind of like X-Files, where it focuses on some main characters, but then some side characters come along and some hijinks happen, you know. But at the end of the story, the main characters and the side characters have kind of evolved in some fashion. I'm also kind of excited to expand my ability to draw snow scenes, because in Volume 2, it's probably going to be winter, because right now it's fall. And of course with winter you've got all kinds of different creatures and stuff that come out. And then I don't know when the one I'm writing will come in. So I've just kind of been basing the climate off of coldness, but not expressly winter. And that's kind of hard to do too, because things will probably look dead, and I've never illustrated things like that. But yeah, there's just so much that goes into making a comic, whether it's writing or illustrating it. And this is just all my jumbled up thoughts about it. I'm very sorry if it's hard to follow me along, because my thoughts go at a mile a minute. Also here lately, as a side update thing, is I'm thinking about uploading to my main channel again. And it's difficult because I gotta upload all the old videos to another channel, and I'm gonna call that TreeSpright Archive, and I've been uploading them, but it's taking forever because I have a lot of old videos, and I'm basically re-uploading them because I don't want to look at all my old videos anymore. I wonder if I'll ever feel that way about TreeSpright, Tree and Sunny comics too. But anyway, I feel like I've rambled enough. I've probably chattered your ear off. Thank you for watching and listening to me talk, and I'll see you next time. Subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of content, and tell me about your comics. I want to read them. I always want to read new comics. Let me know your comic, and I'll check it out.